here with David Marcus at DMW Music from Echo and Sway. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So you had a panel today.
I did.
What was the title of the panel? What happened?
The title of the panel was Label of the Future, and we were really trying to figure out what the label of the future looks like. Like, given the decline in recorded music, and given all the crazy behavior that's going on online with YouTube and satellite radio and Pandora and Spotify, what does a label need to be? How do they need to evolve? The existing labels need to evolve, and what does a new entrant look like?
Well, there was another panel I think today as well, is like, are labels relevant anymore? And it's kind of along the similar track. So where do you stand on that?
I mean, fundamentally, artists need people to invest in them.
Yeah.
Labels are still today the biggest investors in artists and the biggest developers of artists' careers. And so I don't think the question is, are labels relevant? The question is what labels do today maximizing the value of their investments in artists? And the answer is probably maybe, but not quite where they need to be. And I think major labels in particular have spent so much time contracting over the last decade. The industry is contracting, the companies themselves are contracting. They haven't spent a lot of time on their evolution. And so that will happen, but underneath that is going to be a lot of room for new models. Much more focused on collecting advertising revenue from YouTube, for example. Much more focused on helping artists develop in the social media sphere. Much more focused on content creation, as opposed to making albums.
Yep.
And content, it's kind of a lame, generic word, but the idea of really presenting artists in every medium that might have value, either for the label directly or for a partner of the label that might have a vehicle for monetizing it. And then finally, and sort of most generally, being in a position to be more of a supplier and less of a manufacturer,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not so much about, this is the product we're going to deliver to the end user, but here is a suite of stuff that we have to offer that represents our artists, some of which we'll deliver and some of which we'll make available to the industry to deliver.
So are there any labels out there right now that you think are kind of carrying the torch, or at least trailblazing a little bit for people to come up and really embrace the things that you're talking about?
That's a really good question.
Or maybe an artist that has done it with a management team independently or something, or what are some case studies or some things that you pull from for inspiration to go forward?
There are a bunch of interesting examples in the YouTube universe of artists who, because one of the sort of theses that was proposed by one of the panelists was that there's an opportunity for the current label model to evolve, but there's also an opportunity for new entrants to come in and operate almost entirely outside of the label model. And you see some artists like Boyce Avenue or Walk Off the Earth, Austin Mahone to some extent, though that was a pretty quick flip to a label. But artists who have established themselves on YouTube, who've built massive audience. I mean, Walk Off the Earth has 300 million video views and 1.5 million subscribers. They ultimately signed to Columbia Records, but first they had built a business for themselves that was very much about a multimedia presentation of their music and other people's music. They're as much about the videos they make as they are about the music they write.
So then, I mean, I'm coming from the label side and developing talent, but when I hear you say a case like that and that they'd already established what you're talking about, they have their own content provider, they're distributing it. So then for a major even to come in and take a piece of it, what kind of deal, what kind of incentive is the artist looking at to partner with a major at that point when they've already built such a strong...
Yeah.
Where does the label come in then?
The sell has to be amplification. That's really the sell, right? If you're a label coming into a situation like that, you're going to the artist and saying, look, you've done a magnificent job. You've got your studio, you've built some great videos. I can take you to the next level. I can give you the capital you need to do the things you want to do that you can't afford. I can give you the team of people to help take the load off you so you can focus on the creative piece.
Yep.
I can help expose you to new markets around the world, right? I can get you there. I can get you on the television shows. I can get you in the magazines. YouTube gets you so far, but at some point you have to get out of the studio and get into the world, and I'm the thing that's going to connect you to those pieces. And I think that's a very sincere offering for a label that's got those resources and those assets. That's very powerful.
So here's a theoretical question for you. I'm an angel investor. You want to start a new company, you want to start a new label right now. What's going to be your mantra, your mission, and your vision for a new label? If you had all the capital in the world right now, what's the tagline or what's the vision?
Yeah, it's a timely question. I think the tagline is we're building a label that is focused on that's sort of unburdened by the infrastructure, the cost structure, the traditional modes of doing business. It's all digital. It's heavily brand focused around artists, and it's a multimedia focused play. And I think that model is full 360. I think you're in partnership with the artist, and it's really a brand development play, as opposed to, we're going to go make a record, and we're going to press the record. We're going to release a single. That traditional model, I think, has gotten stale. I think it's hard to cut through because there's too much noise in it. And I think that for a startup, deploying capital, you can take a lot more. The label business still, no matter how you cut it, it's about how many shots you take. It's a 1 in 10, 2 in 10 model. And so you need to be able to take that capital from that investor and deploy it as efficiently as you can with the most amount of reach. And that's not taking a huge amount of time in the studio. That's shooting shit live to video and putting it up on YouTube. That's developing really cool social content, buzzy, cool, connected stuff, and seeing if it catches a spark, and seeing if people care, and seeing if the artists can back up their vision and deliver. That's the way I'd play it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I appreciate you coming by and talking with us.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for coming to DMW Music, and appreciate your insight.
Cool.
Thanks.